Can you believe it? It's been 6 years since the BMW i8 arrived, 7 years since the i3 launched, and now in 2020 BMW is ready to expand its i portfolio with this, the Concept i4. I say concept because this is pretty much 85% the production car that you're going to be able to buy from next year. Gone is the really radical styling from the i3 and the i8, replaced instead with a relatively conventional 4 Series Grand Coupe body. BMW i is going mainstream. Let's get straight to the numbers, because the i4 features BMW's 5th generation eDrive technology. What that means is an electric motor, single-speed gearbox and power electronics all housed in a single casing. Its rear-wheel drive and a 550 kg 80 kWh lithium-ion battery is spread under the floor. The result is an M4 worrying 523 brake horsepower, 0 to 62 in 4 seconds, and a WLTP range of 373 miles. Charging capacity is up to 150 kilowatts, not as fast as a Tesla Model S or the Porsche Taycan then, but fast enough for 0 to 80% in around 35 minutes. Let's dissect this design a little bit then, and we'll start at the front, where else, with the grille. If I can call it that. It actually has no air intake properties, of course, because this is an electric car and doesn't need the cooling. What it does is house a variety of sensors. BMW calls it an intelligence panel. I say it's not quite as scary as it was on the 4 Series Coupe Concept, but still reminds me a bit of a pantomime dame. Make of that what you will. You'll also notice this blue highlight line that runs around the grille. That is used on the exterior of the car to highlight the points that that denote it as an electric car. So on the blanked out grille, along the side sills, suggesting the skateboard battery that's under the floor there, and on the diffuser at the back, where you'd normally have exhaust pipes. Moving on, round the side, yes, 21-inch aero wheels. I think this is going to be a feature we're going to see a lot more of on electric cars. Manufacturers making a design point of aero wheels, because if you can save precious drag in this area, traditionally the most turbulent area on a car, well then you can increase your range by a few precious miles. Carrying on, and we'll fly past this area because that is where the car looks most conventional, and come round the back. Just 2 more things I want to show you here. The first is these super thin L-shaped taillights, which look very crisp and very nice. And the second is this, the badge, the BMW badge. It's an all-new BMW logo. Get up close and you'll see it's much more 2D than it was before. And here it's got a transparent see-through application so you can see the paint color underneath. That's because the i brand, it's all about being friendly and airy and light and approachable. This is the first time we've seen the logo, and then it's going to be rolled out across other models. So overall, the i4, different enough to petrol and diesel 4 Series to give you that smug sense of satisfaction, not different enough to make you stand out like a sore thumb. Where BMW has really gone to town though is with the sounds this car makes. Teaming up with legendary film composer Hans Zimmer, it's created various sound worlds for the i4 that include increasingly sporty driving noises as you move through the sport, efficient and core driving modes, and various bongs and jingles when you open the door and push the buttons. And no, it won't play the theme tune to Gladiator when you start it up. We asked. If the exterior of the i4 is the i brand showing its more restrained side, well in here, it's letting its hair down a bit. Everything is dominated by this massive screen in front of you, and you'll see the way it just curves away to the centre of the car. That's so it's pointed, orientated towards the driver. The i4 is the driver's electric BMW, don't forget. The iNext SUV that comes next year, that's the one that's crammed with autonomous tech. So what have we got? In front of me, the instrument display. Over here, this is the touchscreen, and believe me, everything is within the touchscreen. You've got a crystal iDrive controller down here, but everything, including the climate control, is up here on the screen. And as we've seen in Audis, that's not necessarily a good thing. There's no bezel around the edge of the screen, barely any bezel, and there's definitely no shroud. That's because it's covered in a non-reflective glass, so you simply don't need one. And the rest of the interior, well, it's certainly pared back. The vents here are pretty much invisible. Instead of a normal BMW gear lever, you've just got this subtly integrated toggle down here, and these super squishy, soft, rounded seats with barely any stitching on display. Well, that's because this car is modern, and modern means minimalist. You might imagine with this coupe-ish roofline and a battery under your feet that the back seats would be cramped, but they're not. This is a genuinely usable car, although we suspect that notchback boot won't be massive. The lobbying for an i4 Touring starts here. You get this sense with this car that it's the product of everything BMW learned in the financially challenging but technically brilliant i3 and i8 experiment. That if you want to make money from electric cars, well, you need to give them a more usable range, and you need to make them more economically in existing factories, which is why this will be built in Munich alongside the 3 Series and 4 Series, only deviating from the production line to have its batteries and motors installed. So, BMW's assault on the EV mass market starts now. This year we're going to get the Mini E, we're going to get the iX3 later, and then next year we're going to have the i4 and the iNext. This is no longer just a toe in the water. This is BMW pulling on its budgie smugglers and diving right in.